It is my honor to introduce our first speaker. She is also the regional director for the LACC in the Los Angeles region. She was the primary host of the big Spotlight Latvia event we did 3 years ago. Amalia, how long? It seems like it was yesterday, but it was in the midst of COVID, and time gets sort of squirrely when it comes to the COVID period. But Amalia Ghukasyan is the president of Rosewalk Global and is one of the foremost experts when it comes to import-export in food, when it comes to between US and Europe and Latvia in particular. So Amalia, we hand the podium over to you.
Okay, but before we dive into talking about exports in the food and beverage markets in the US, I want to take a minute and thank my friends and colleagues at the Latvian American Chamber of Commerce, Red Jackets, and Leah for orchestrating this event, which not only creates bridges between the continents, but also brings more focus to our shared goals. As Laura's mentioned, I am the founder of an advisory firm that is based in Los Angeles, California. It's a company that with its main mission is to provide representation services to foreign manufacturers launching into the US market. We recognize the costs and hardships associated with hiring a team, fully fledged office, and penetrating into a market from scratch. So we act as the extension of the manufacturer in the US market, effectively operating as its local branch in the US. I'm also the director of Los Angeles for the Latvian American Chamber of Commerce, and one of my key goals in my operations is to promote more trade between Latvia, California, and the US in large. So this is the beginning about the company. Let me go on the first slide of my presentation. I wanted to talk a little bit about the overall grocery retail industry in the US. So the retail industry in the US, which also comprise food and beverage retail, is worth of $5.2 trillion. The food and beverage sector makes about 14% of the overall industry. The key channels for generating the dominance of sale in this food and beverage industry are still. I want to talk a little bit about the key players in the industry, and I want to start off with, I'm going to quickly mention the key players and then pass on to more important things. But I want to start off with the Whole Foods market, which is 500 locations nationwide. They're known to be selling the highest quality of national organic foods in the US. Whole Foods market also has its private brand that is called 365, which celebrates the notion that national and natural and organic foods should be readily available to more people at affordable price, 365 days a year. Appearance on the shelves of Whole Foods market is one of the highest validations of trust for a brand that is a newcomer in the market. Secondly, I want to talk about Trader Joe's, which is one of my favorite. This is a very unique phenomenon in the retail industry in the US. It started off as a local neighborhood store, and ironically, the original Trader Joe's is my neighborhood store where I shop in Pasadena. The uniqueness of Trader Joe's constitutes in the fact that it's 85% of its of the categories that it sells are private label, and Trader Joe's vendors are spread around the world. It sources from around 200 countries. One of the key things that makes Trader Joe's different is that it sells more than any of its competitors per square foot. The gross sale of square foot at Trader Joe's is about $2,200, which is almost double its competitors. Trader Joe's also carries less products, which kind of helps with the decision-making paralysis. In other words, if Whole Foods has 10 different types of almond butters. Trader Joe's has only one. And if you're in Trader Joe's, you just grab and go. You don't have to make a long decision of it. Next is Kroger, which dominates the supermarket and grocery stores industry. It has around, with all the brands of supermarkets that it owns, it has 2,800 stores nationwide. Kroger also has its private labels. It has 16,000 private label items sold throughout the chain. I'll quickly go through Albertsons. Again, this is one of the largest grocery supermarket chains in the US. It constitutes about 9.4% of the grocery and supermarket shares of the grocery and supermarket industry in the US. Again, it has Vons, Pavilions, Albertsons, and other branded supermarket chains throughout the US. Costco is unique too because it's a membership-based warehouse. And Costco has its private label brand Kirkland, which I'm emphasizing private labels for each chain because I believe that there is specific opportunities for Latvian brands to cooperate with retail chains in the US in the private brand category as well. The rising prices of labeled products give retailers opportunity to create their own labels of the same product and sell it at 15 to 20% less price. Like Costco's organic grass-fed New Zealand butter is one of the key items why people are brought to Costco on every day. This is the share of industry and products. We see here the percentage of products sold at supermarket chains. I want to say that right now, organic and natural products are a force in the US. They have almost tripled in the industry has almost tripled in the size. I think it's reaching in 2023 around 300 billion in market size. I want to talk right now a little bit about the industry trends, Gen Z and millennials. Why am I mentioning Gen Z? Because Gen Z right now are reaching the age of millennials in 2006. So the brands that are entering and they're the most populous, they're going to be the most populous generation in the US. The brands entering this market should strategically plan their products with a mindset, having in mindset the choices of Gen Zs. This is a generation that grew up learning at schools about the UN sustainable goals. They empathy with nature, clean products. This is a generation that is always on the social media. They are always interacting with brands. So it creates a lot of great opportunities for manufacturers and retailers to communicate with this generation as a consumer. Gen Z, there is a study recently that shows that 78% of Gen Zs use their phones shopping in the stores. They use apps. Like one example of app I wanted to bring, it's something I use to persuade my kids not to ask for sugar intense or items in the groceries when we're shopping together. So this is an app that was launched, and I'm sure probably Latvia has equivalents and their equivalents in Europe, but it was an app that was launched by a social media wellness influencer, Bobby Parrish. It allows you to scan the barcode of the product you're buying in the store, and then it will tell you if Bobby has approved it or not. It will also explain why. It's because of the ingredients or whatever. And then if it's not approved, it will suggest you an option that Bobby has approved. So this is directing a lot of the shoppers of the new generation who are conscious and care about sustainability and clean nature towards products that they have empathy with. I want to talk a little bit, and I see that some of the pictures are not loading, but I want to talk a little bit about the blue zone kitchen phenomenon that has been very strong recently in the US with a Netflix documentary about blue zones and the longevity of the population in the zones. It's a guy who travels around the world, and he has found spots in different places in the world where he studies the lifestyle and eating habits of these people. There was an interesting phenomenon where purple potatoes ran out of stock at Whole Foods because the Blue Zone documentary was showing Okinawa and how the people over 80 years old were eating purple potatoes in Okinawa. Next thing I want to mention is functional foods. This was the most used term at the Natural Expo West last week, which happens in Anaheim, California annually. The expo has over 70,000 participants, 3,000 vendors, and functional food was one of the key focuses. What does it mean? Functional foods mean foods that have an enhanced ingredient, something that brings you more than just the nutrients. It be that protein, vitamins, or an enhanced wellness. Another thing is, historically, the market in the US, the natural and organic food market in the US has been focused a lot on wellness. Right now, it's more longevity. So the Gen Z and the forthcoming buyers are more focused on what to do to live longer and healthier. One example I have here of a functional food is the watermelon seed butter, which is becoming a hype right now. It has a lot of nutrients. It enhances the bone structure. It gives you a lot of more protein than any almond or peanut butter. And it's also highly anti-inflammatory. I'm going to pass this quicker so we can talk more about the tips and tricks for Latvian brands. But there is a lot of change in food trends in the US right now. One thing is rethinking kids' menu. We all know in Europe that the kids' food at schools in the US are not the best, but a lot is changing with the new and upcoming generations and their demand for healthier foods. So healthy snacking habits for the kids. Regenerative agriculture is another thing that the new generations and consumers are in the US are going to look for. This is the type of ranching or farming that improves the degraded soil and is in general making good practices for ecosystems. Out of the box into the fridge. This is the grab and go. The busy new generations are always in the movement, so they want to have options of grabbing foods that are healthy and not junk food necessarily. It's something that it's hard-boiled eggs in a package, as an example. Then non-sugars, powers, plant-based, and then zero-proof drinks. It's interesting to note that the hottest beer in the US market right now doesn't contain alcohol. The younger generations and the newer consumers are looking for options of socializing, drinking, and communicating, but not necessarily consuming a lot of alcohol. Again, clean labels, bio, eco, and anything. So let's now go to some strategies and insights for the Latvian brands when they're coming into the US market. I think it's important that the brands, that any foreign brand coming into the US market keeps in mind that they need to come, they have better chances, I want to say, when they come with something new and better. In other words, this is a very dynamic, very saturated market. So to come to the US with a product that is another type of chips or another type of cereal will put you in competition with mainstream huge brands that spend millions of dollars on their marketing and advertising. So when you enter the market with something that is new, more innovative innovative or superior than whatever you exist, you automatically enhance your chances. It creates better channels for brand awareness, for sympathy from the retailers and consumers. So choose your product well and carefully when you're entering the US markets. I want to say that I've been a friend of Latvia since 2011, and I've seen the innovation and resilience and the unique talent of the people of Latvia. So I do think I want to highlight that I believe the high quality Latvian brands have great opportunities to penetrate into the US market and thrive in this market. Next is your homework. When foreign brands or whatever brands meets the retailer through the official process of category reviews, it's all systematized. It's a software. So the people, when he sits, the buyer that sits in front of you as a brand, their main tasks, besides you coming in with something unique that they're not carrying yet, or it's something better, or they can have a better margin with you, they want to make sure that you are a company that is able to work and do business with them right now and here. So this is the list of the things that Latvian brands need to make sure that they have looked at, they have present before they go and meet the retailers in the US. And I want to quickly mention it's FDA registrations, packaging compliant with FDA, product claim compliant with US registrations. And then it comes to legal entity established, having a marketing plan, financial plan, sales team in place. So in other words, exporting to US means doing business in the US. Selling in the US transcends to more than just shipping your product into the United States. It means having an operation that is sustainable and that resonates the norms and standards and practices of local businesses, because you will have to, it's not just shipping your product, you will have to operate and thrive and be successful in this market, competing with the local ones. So that's another tip that I want to give the Latvian brands when they're thinking of penetrating the US market. Mind the differences, distributors and brokers. This is something I've talked on multiple times. It's differences, it's cultural differences, it's systematic differences, it's supply chain differences. The supply chain in the US is unique in the sense that distributors here are doing only the role of the logistics. They're only moving stuff from one location, mostly warehouses, to the retailers. Oftentimes, when I talk to manufacturers from Europe and abroad, their main target, they believe, is finding a distributor, and then all they need to do is to produce the thing, manufacture their products in Latvia, and then the distributor will take care of the rest in the US. This is not true. Distributors will not do your business in the US for you. Distributors will take care of the logistics. And then another institute that is very important in the US and doesn't necessarily exist in Europe is the food brokers. Food brokers are agencies or people that carry out the sales of the products for retailers. They have multiple connections, established accounts in different retail stores. It also helps the retailers to minimize their administrative costs because they go through a broker. Imagine a retailer that sells 50,000 category items. So for them to interact and have operations set up with 50,000 companies would be ahead of an administrative egg. That's why they go through food brokers in their daily operations and category managements. My next advice is utilize local expertise. It is very important for the brands coming to the US to understand that their chances will be higher and stronger if they are able to utilize the knowledge of those who are very familiar with the market, who understand the intricacies, who know the differences, be that marketing agencies, be that brokers or agents, be that sales teams. Do go to for consultings for expertise in the US. It does help boost you in this market. Invest to grow. One of the hardships that I've seen and I witness continuously is investments required to enter the US market. Yes, you can be smart about investing. Yes, brands do not need to have a budget of millions of dollars when they're entering the US market. But if they don't invest, they will kill their growth. Yeah, so do invest in creating an operation that is sustainable. It does take money denominated investment. The mindset that you will find a distributor, it will do the business for you in the US, and you'll be manufacturing and shipping the goods here, is what keeps a lot of Latvian great brands not being able to enter into this market. And then again, as I already said, I want to highlight again, Latvians have remarkable talent. I've seen wonderful products from Latvia. And I do believe that it's only a matter of homework. You need to invest time, you need to invest efforts, and you need to invest money in order to be able to successfully thrive in this market. I think with this, I want to finish sharing the presentation. So we have also time for the Q&A. I hope this didn't take too much of the time. How are we doing time-wise?
We are a few minutes behind, but don't worry about that because the tips and tricks was fantastic. So thank you so much. Your experience in the sector, of course, is so vast that we could just listen to you for days without stop. Yes, just a small note to our listeners out there. There is the chat option in which you can write questions that we will pass on to our speakers. That is definitely an option that you have to really engage in the webinar as well. But Amalia, maybe one or two very, very short stories about the companies from Latvia that you have worked with or have tried to work with and to help them enter the US market. Do you have something to share?
Yeah. So the most recent project I did with Latvian brands was actually a cooperation with Latvian investment, LIA, with the Latvian investment agency. With the help of LIA, we chose 7 upcoming natural and organic brands from Latvia, and I organized, which is something I regularly do twice a year, and I organized one-to-one B2B meetings with high-level decision makers at retail chains in the US. The chains included Costco, Whole Foods, Albertsons, Kroger, all of the major chains. The Latvian brands I have to say they did exceptional. These were one-to-one meetings when the brands were pitching. Product-wise, loved. Quality-wise, amazing. So the retailers at the end of the meeting, they were like, and some of them, they actually have followed up with me after the meetings. I want to mention a couple of the brands. Milzu with its vegetable cereal, amazing. Up until now, and every time I meet a Costco buyer, they will ask me, where is the vegetable cereal? I think the brand's name, if I'm not mistaken, they're called Rudolph, and they have non-sugar gems. Wonderful product. What they do is and which is something that surprised Americans. What they do is they have a special way of pasteurizing the jam, so it doesn't require a huge amount of sugar in it. And the generation right now are very conscious of, the consumers are very conscious of the sugar content. So the Latvian brands did very well. And again, that's why I want to stress again, product-wise, we have wonderful products from Latvia. It's a matter of utilizing the channels, utilizing the expertise, and the mindset that when selling in the US, you have to be here doing business on the soil of the US.
Thank you, Amalia. I'm still marveling at the concept of watermelon seed butter. It doesn't quite come to me naturally,
Isn't it
but
cool?
it's pretty funky. And it would fit in with the Trader Joe's and Whole Foods sort of clientele, I think, pretty well. So yeah, thank you once again. And I think to your point, you've got a deep expertise in this. Anyone who's watching who didn't catch Amalia's contact information, feel free to write an email to info@latvianchamber.com and we can connect you. Again, one of our roles is to help facilitate the building of those economic and business bridges. And Amalia has done great work for some of the firms that she's mentioned as well as others. So my question for you, Amalia, is this. If there's a person living in the States who wants to try to find a list of Latvian stuff, food that's available, where can they go? You'd mentioned Kroger, you've got vegetable cereal. I know in Boston, randomly you can find stuff, but is there a central location? Where could someone look to find and support Latvian food exporters or the goods that would be in the U.S. market?
So right now, at least in California and Los Angeles, it's mostly independent ethnic stores. And it is my dream that soon, Loris, you and I will be able to have, how Trader Joe's has the Trader Joe's label on all of the products, and then it has a small line that says product of Italy, product of France. That's my dream, that you and I can go to Trader Joe's one day and have a product of Latvia. I am working on that. I think that Latvia does have great opportunities in that sector.
Yeah, it'd be cool because they've got like Trader Jose for the Mexican food. Now we could have Trader Janis for the Latvian food, I guess. Well, as long as we can get Karavel and Plukt into the Trader Joe and Whole Food world, I think that'd be wonderful. But again, thank you very, very much, Amalia. Hopefully this has been helpful to the people who have been watching today. And just speaking firsthand, I know she's done a really good job connecting, businesses from Latvia to local distribution and local consumers in the U.S. So thank you once again, Amalia.
Thank you.